So sorry about the technical difficulties, folks. We had a bunch of feedback. It was really hard to hear. So he got some headphones. I got some headphones. He's about to jump back in here. If somebody wants to tag him, make it a little easier on him. Let's see. Oh, I might be able to do it from here. Hey, I can't do nothing about the face. We could do a little bit about the sound, but we couldn't do nothing about the face. So let's check it out and see if we can get him added back in here. All right.
All right. Better?
I think we're much better because I was hearing the echo before and I don't hear it now. So I think we're good to go.
Perfect.
All right. So let's run this back, start this all over again. Check it out, guys. This is going to be the good feed. We figured it out. Definitely, Billy, if you're watching, grab some headphones. It'll make this process a whole lot easier when you come on. We've got it figured out now. So go ahead and share this link out. You know what I mean? Check it out. We're good to go here. So back to what we were saying before the echo completely interrupted us and destroyed us. It is not a nitrous Fox body. It is a what is it exactly? It's a Nissan
D21 or hard body. They call them hard bodies. Maybe that's some people were actually making a joke about that it was a hard body, not a Fox body.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing, because I think that was the thing in mini trucking, you know what I mean? Like, everybody wanted the Nissan hard body and slammed and body dropped and everything else.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
and
go ahead, bud.
That's originally what actually, I guess, got me into that truck. I've been wanting one of those since I was like in middle school, and that's where I always saw it was like the, low riders and shit like that. But also, got into racing and stuff like that. Still wanted one, but went this route instead.
So you made the best of both worlds.
Yeah.
Now, I didn't see a lot of arguing or anything, and maybe I didn't watch enough of the clip, or maybe I just didn't catch it. And that 1320 video just came out. We're making jokes about. They said you jumped. I mean, was it like bad? I mean, did you know like the line or?
No. So, I mean, here's the thing. And some people were criticizing like elsewhere,
right,
about jumping, but I mean the truck is it's nothing crazy. It doesn't make thousands of horsepower or anything like that. We just try to get out as good as we can on a slick surface, and the car that I was up against was very capable of making a shit ton of power. So yeah, I had to guess.
Right. Yeah.
I mean that was the only way that was going to go my way, going into it. And so, yeah, I guessed like literally a single frame too early.
A single frame. And sometimes that's all, and sometimes that's the cameraman. How many frames per second do they have?
Yeah, I know. That argument actually came up, not on our race. My race it was obvious that it wasn't between frames that it was happening.
Right.
But on another race, I told him, I was like, you guys got to have a minimum of 60 frames.
Right.
To be judging stuff like that.
And it is, so. And, the camera has been a great tool. And it's been helpful in situations and everything else, but like, it also is like, kind of fucks it up a little bit. Like it kind of fucks up the old school, like, hey, somebody makes the call and it is what it is.
Yeah.
And, like I get it because the camera is saved from wrong calls, but sometimes, you know what I mean?
Well, and that's the thing. I mean, sometimes it's pretty giant money. I can see wanting to know for sure, in situations like that. Somebody's racing for 10 grand on a single race. I mean, people get serious about that.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'd be pretty butthurt if it was, clearly one way, but this guy, just what he saw, it was just interpreted as, the other way.
Yeah.
So
it happened. So now my question is, because I just love LS swaps and everything LS in general. Now I know you're out there street racing and everything else and
allegedly.
Well, the streets of Mexico, so it's the wall ain't up yet. We still got time to get across the bridge and we're good to go.
Yeah.
But do you want to talk a little bit about the setup on the truck? You know what I mean? What it is, how you came about?
I mean, it's there's nothing special about it, especially as far as the power plant stuff goes. It's a stock LS. All we did was head studs, LS9 head gaskets, and some valve springs. We weren't sure how high we were going to have to spin it. I'm not super familiar with these motors. This is the first one that I've ever actually had of my own.
Gotcha.
And so we weren't really sure, but from what we've seen in other videos and other builds, was they handle plenty of power. So I mean, they seemed easy to work on. It was kind of a no-brainer for us, so we went with that direction. And yeah, I mean, nothing special. It's a 75 millimeter Borg-Warner turbo on it. And all it'll make, that's the weird thing, I guess, about where we're at our altitude, all that'll make is 17 pounds.
Really?
That turbo's not exactly doing anything crazy at 17 pounds. There's almost everybody I race is making more power than me. And so that's why we just really worked on chassis stuff. And even that's nothing fancy, that's for sure. But we test a lot.
Well, and I think that's the point that that gets brought up is the street is the great equalizer, because you could be making 2,000 horsepower, you can make 800 horsepower, but you both got to get down the same surface.
Yeah.
And that's important. A lot of the guys, and I don't know that folks understand this, the guys that sit at home, and watch these YouTube videos and this, that, and the other, like just how much time you guys take testing and how many times you guys are going out there and making adjustments and everything. Like, you don't just hop on a 1320 video one day because you built a truck and went out there.
Right. No, I mean, multiple sets of tires just dedicated to, testing and these minor little things that we're trying out. And a lot of them don't work, and so we're wasting a lot of that. So yeah, I mean, we put a lot of effort into that. I mean, but it pays off. Like, you always seem to be able to tell the guys that, put a lot of time into testing. And the guy that I raced, cool as shit. I mean, the guy was awesome.
Right.
There's no reason I should have been, even with the jump, I should have been destroyed.
Right.
And that can happen in a street race. That's what's awesome about that, is on that kind of surface, if somebody they don't even have to spin. They could just, I guess, underestimate the road and not put enough power into it or something like that. And so it's really just, it's fun. That variable is nice.
How often do you find that a lot of times it's the underestimation that fucks you?
Yeah. I mean, in this truck, it tends to be. I mean, I don't have a crazy amount of power to even play with in the first place, but yeah, I always seem to undershoot a little bit. I think more often than overshooting, and maybe that's just kind of how we approach it. We always kind of ease into it a little bit more. There's plenty of guys that just have a different style. They'll come from the other direction. They'll put as much power as they think it'll go, and they'll bring it back down.
It kind of sucks one way or the other, because you blow the tires off and you're like, well, fuck, I should have taken more out of it. But you get down the road and you're like, oh, I could have put a little more into it. So,
right.
You know what I mean?
And that's why I like coming from the bottom side of it, because at least you have other data in there. So let's say you put too much in the beginning, that may screw all of your data the rest of the way down the road.
Right.
Whereas if you don't put enough into it, I mean, at least some of the data is a little bit more usable. I don't know, maybe to me. Now, that may be opinion.
Speaking of data, because somebody asked this question, popping up in the questions, what system you got? What computer system you have running?
It's a Holly, just the HP.
Yep, Holly. So, I mean, that seems to be pretty much the standard of what works and has no questions asked as far as what's going on.
And I've used, I do tuning, ECU tuning for other people, and I've used a lot of different types of ECUs, both standalone and piggyback stuff. It's by far my favorite. It's so just well, I guess, organized.
It just works.
It's got some good shit in it. It does. Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's the thing. Is it just works? Have you done anything with HP tuners?
Yeah. I try not to.
that seems to be the thing now. Like, don't get me wrong, HP tuners is still a viable platform for a lot of guys who just want to get an LS swap in and blah, blah, blah. But when it comes to racing and doing some of the things that you want to do, it's just, people don't understand that it has its limitations.
Right. Well, it's just nice that everything is so kind of in one package with the Holly. I mean, if you're doing HP tuner, you have to, if you want a bump feature, you got to buy a separate box for that. You want boost control, you got to buy a separate box for that.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it ends up coming down to how cost effective is it. And a lot of people, if they want to get serious with it on HP tuner, they end up spending similar money.
Right. And it's by the time you add it all up, and then instead of having, one functioning program, you've got 10 different things and variables and everything else. And, are
they communicating nicely with each other and all? Yeah.
Yeah. And racing is about variable elimination. You know what I mean? You're trying to figure out what you need to figure out and get it there. Now, the question I have is, because there's a question about our next guest, because everybody wants to see truck races. Like right now, there's a couple trucks that are on fire, just out in the world. So why don't we talk about this past year? Is there any races that that you had that were like super accomplishments or super guys that you wanted to race and had a good race with?
No, I mean, I take all of them pretty much the same way. I think the one that I most enjoyed was actually a race. A friend of mine has a Honda Civic. Most of the time, that's
the one there was a video on, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, I
that
saw
was
it.
that was by far my favorite race. Just the way all the numbers worked out. I mean, maybe I'm a geek like that, but it was cool. And he was a like good friend of mine, and we had never raced before. So like first time we had ever raced in any car, and it was just our times were exactly the same.
Right. So it was just
I
right
mean,
on.
launched out on him, and he's got crazy mile an hour once he actually gets going. And so we ended with like a 20-mile-an-hour difference at the eighth, but same exact time.
No kidding.
3 decimals out.
That's wild. That's wild.
Yeah.
Speaking of wild shit that I've seen, like on your Instagram or Facebook, or I can't remember where exactly, but like you keep putting these pictures up of a Honda Civic, but like with an LS sitting in front of it.
Yeah, that shit's going in there.
That's what I was gonna ask. Is that going in there? What are the plans with that thing?
It's gonna be basically duplicating the same setup that's in the truck for the most part. I mean, we're gonna try to fix a couple of the things that we wish we would have done differently in the truck.
Yeah.
But for the most part, it's gonna be the same exact setup, but in that body. That chassis kind of goes a long way back. The guy that I raced on the video in that Civic, we used to have a group car that we all kind of pitched in on.
Right.
I mean, like we'd have parties and have people pitch for beer money, but we'd use it on the car.
Right.
So that's that chassis. From back in, I don't know, was it like 2005? And they started doing it even earlier than that. They were going to sell it. They want to start on a new chassis. And so they said, we're either going to sell it to one of the guys that were actually helping with it, or we're going to crush it. I was like, well, screw that.
I'll take that.
Gone, So we got it. And once my wife started actually driving the truck more often, we said, screw. I mean, you like that setup, but you want it to be in your car. So we're just going to basically duplicate it.
I like it. Now,
should be about 700 pounds lighter, so it should help.
It should help a little bit. I'm sure there's like depending on how you run through it and do it, there's going to be a whole world of differences of making the rear wheel drive and everything else. When do you anticipate really getting cracking on that? Is that something you're looking for next season, or you want to run the truck more?
That'll be this season. Neither of us are very patient, and so when we do builds, we try to just do it all at once. So the plan is probably last week of January, we'll start on it, and we'll be doing videos every week on the progress and stuff. So we'll plan to have it done probably end of or middle of May, somewhere around there. Damn. That's the goal anyway. It'll be a lot in a short period of time.
It will be, and it's probably going to be a lot to film and put together, but I'm sure people are going to be excited to see that. That's pretty damn awesome. Yeah. Speaking of which, the upcoming season. Now, folks are asking, and I don't know if you have or not, because it's just impossible to see every race in the world or whatnot. Have you raced Billy?
I have not.
10. Are you looking forward to it? Do you think you can do it? Do you think you will win? He will win. What's your take on that?
I mean, he's good. So I've been watching him for a little while now, and I guess one of the interesting things was we both kind of did the same thing before I went out to Kansas City for that video that 1320 did.
Right.
The first thing I did was just try to watch videos of like every spot that they tend to use.
Yeah.
Try to get an idea of what was going on. And I saw that in one of his other videos that he did, was he was watching some of the races from other people and races from that same spot. I mean, that's why he's fast as shit. I mean, he's got to put that same kind of preparation, I'm sure, in the rest of, what he does. So would I mind racing? I mean, I think I'm going to end up racing him probably if we both end up going to, or at least be at the same race, I should say.
Right. The draw is the draw. So.
Yeah. So that race might be happening later on this season of all trucks.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's kind of interesting because there's some local guys to me that have some pretty fast trucks, and they are, everybody's like, I don't know what it is about trucks lately, but I feel
I
like
know. Recently,
trucks
it's
are,
been crazy.
it's just nothing but trucks, and there's some really fast ones out there.
Mm-hmm.
But just getting everybody lined up and kind of in the same spot. I mean, everybody's spread out across the country,
Yeah.
trying to get figured out. Like Jeff just tagged Jerome Courtney. I don't know if you've seen his truck, Strictly Business. It's a full size Silverado, and that thing
Yeah.
is just nasty.
Yeah.
And you're like,
Oh, dude. And I don't know what it is with them. There's so many, like, just cool ass trucks. For some reason, they're just entertaining as shit to
oh
watch.
yeah, and I'm with you. Talking about the guys like like you got Billy, you got Murder 88, some of the local guys.
I had to watch that Prime, that gray truck, the last time we went down to Dallas. That
Right.
thing in person, that thing's nasty. Oh, he was in Kansas City too. That's right.
It's ridiculous, man. And you would never think, because trucks are like not the sought
It's tens of the
after.
new Fox bodies.
They may be, they may be.
Yeah.
So
No, but it's I don't know what it is about it, but there are a lot right now, and that's why I think this season will be pretty fun, especially with somebody actually suggesting to have like an all truck race. It'd be cool to see how many they can get into one spot.
I
And
think it's possible. Like, I think it's doable. Just knowing, like, I happen to be a random ass dude. I don't know you from a hole in the ground, but I happen to know, like, through random shit. I know a bunch of people. I know Billy. Billy's coming on here. I know the guys from Detroit Hood TV. I know some of the local guys with fast trucks. So the thing is like, it's definitely doable. It's just, it's going to take some preparation and planning, because it's people coming from all over. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then on top of that, it's got to be worth it. If we're going to make everybody go somewhere or whatever, let's see if we can't raise some money out and make it a good time.
Yeah, definitely. It's got to be worth it. I'm pretty easy. You tell me there's a race, if I can afford it, I'll get out there.
Right. So have you traveled to the
that
East
whole
Coast
Kansas
at all?
City thing? No, not the East Coast. Yeah, that's a far one. I used to live out in the East Coast, but no, since I've been out in Colorado, I haven't really been back there. I went to school in Virginia, but I haven't been back in a long time, and I haven't raced out there since then. So
Gotcha. Now that you were saying the Kansas City thing.
Oh yeah, that whole race was. It wasn't. I mean, looking back on it, it was fun, but that was punishment, man. That was driving out from Colorado. Barely getting any sleep. I think across the whole weekend we had maybe 4 hours of sleep or something. We took a nap after doing some testing.
Yeah.
And woke back up, worked on the cars again, and then no sleep until we had to meet up that night. And then obviously that was like the longest freaking race that we've ever done. It was like 10 hours or something.
It happens like that, and
yeah.
I think that's the one common recurring theme, is that it happens like on every. I can tell you, it's happened in Delaware, where it's like,
oh, it's nothing bad about it at all. I mean, the guys that stay around, I mean, the motivation is insane, and those guys are all awesome as shit.
But it's just like, man, when you're done with that night or whatever, and it's like sun's coming up, and you still haven't been to bed yet, and everything else.
Yeah. Oh yeah,
rough.
and then we had to drive home to Colorado. I don't know how I went out there with Trent and the T1 Nova,
right.
And he drove. I don't know how the hell he was taking naps in between the rounds. I don't know how we drove back after Colorado, or trip back to Colorado after the race.
Dude, it's weird. Some people do that. Like, I got a boy who we just went to Georgia or something, or Alabama it was, from Delaware, and he was just like a machine. And I'm like, dude, I don't know how you do this. Like, I gotta sleep. So
I know.
Well, look, but we're about to switch it up because it's about time for the next guest. But one important thing I wanted to do, because I know that everything that gets done, you do a lot of work yourself. Everybody does. But is there anybody you want to shout out, and help along this last season, or working on the truck or parts or
That's
anything?
a lot of damn people. No, I mean, that's the nice thing about Colorado. So many good dudes out here. Bora Torque, he owns a shop called Torque Automotive. That's where we built that truck at.
Right.
I mean, we all just hammered on it for however many months it took. And yeah, they've been a huge help. Trent, as always, I mean, anytime we go out racing, I mean, he's just as obsessed with that shit as me. So he's been a huge help in, how much we've been testing and doing all that shit. So, And my wife for letting me do all this shit. I'm
Hey,
sure she's watching.
right, I know. I think mine might be watching from the other room, but
Yeah.
definitely gonna shout them out because without them we ain't got shit.
Yeah.
So, awesome. One final thought before we roll out. What is, because it's New Year's, we're going to talk about it. What is your 2019 goal? Is it a race? Is it, getting that Civic finish? What is the big goal for you for 2019?
Aside from getting the Civic finish, because it would be awesome to have, to be racing with my wife. I mean, she's always there and helping out and everything, but
Right.
having her actually race, that'd be nice.
Are you going to race against her?
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
She thinks she can. She thinks she can beat me. I mean,
It's
she's gonna have the
proven.
car that should be better. But
Statistically proven, women have a better reaction time. Everything else I don't know about, but
that's true. She gets pretty nervous though, so I don't know if she'll mess up. Maybe go early or something. Hopefully,
right.
pull a me. But other than that, man, I just want to go to as many of these cash days as possible and not look out of place. So
I think
we'll be getting some more power in there and trying to hang with these dudes.
I think you're doing a good job. You know what I mean? I've been keeping up a little bit. I love the trucks just because it's crazy. It looks ridiculous.
Thanks, man.
The big thing, everybody, you and the Cletus meme, that was a whole other deal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't. I know. I didn't mean to. Well, so the original post actually, it was more of a shit talk on the original way that I wrote it. He got a little angry at that, but I didn't mean it as in something malicious. But he was having a bad day, I think.
Yeah, well, it happens, and I think the whole thing, and I'm not sure if you're familiar with sloppy mechanics, but that's a huge thing, because the guy Matt Happel's up in PA, which is so it's like I feel like it's got a real East Coast tight knit following, but it's definitely been expanding. So seeing all that stuff about seeing it everywhere, seeing it on sloppy mechanics, everything else.
Oh, yeah.
So, well, look, bud, I appreciate you checking in. We're going to follow back up with you when we can on another episode. Hopefully
definitely.
see some progress on the Civic. And thank you for joining us tonight. I wish you the best of luck.
I appreciate you having me, man. I do.
Yeah, man, it's great because, like I said, one of the cool things is getting to bring everybody together and, some folks who may not have seen the truck before now get to see it. So if you want, when you hop off here, if you want to drop a link in the comments to your stuff, like I said, I think we've linked it before, but drop another one on there so people can come check it out and watch the videos and whatnot.
Definitely, man. I appreciate it.
All right, bud. You have a good night. We're gonna get on to the next one.
Cool. Thanks.
All right,
you too.
See you. All right, guys. So that was Derrick. Pretty dope. I mean, checking it out. The man's putting an LS in a Honda Civic. After he put the LS in a Nissan, which has just been crazy. Regardless of what he says about power and this, that, and the other, I'm here to tell you guys he's doing his damn thing on the street. There's no doubt about that. He's definitely working. So it's a fun truck to watch. The thing, it looks fast. It is fast. It seems like an enjoyable time. And shoot, I'm looking forward to seeing if him and his missus get in a race. That would be pretty damn dope. Boom, boom, boom. It's just always something cool. I thought that was cool. Couples that do race car stuff together and then actually having, two cars you can race against each other. And from the sounds of it are going to be pretty on par with each other. So we're going to roll right in to our next guest for the night.